Sir? Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order the NKCES monthly Board of Directors meeting on March 11th, 2020 at 9 a.m. And this is being done virtually, not in person, and it is also being streamed live through YouTube, just so everyone knows. And just want to make sure everyone knows that that it is being recorded as well. So just to put everybody on notice. The first thing I'd like to do is as we move to adopt the agenda, I'd like to make a motion that we move Dr. Foster's KDE report out to below the acknowledgement of guests. She's triple booked this morning, and I'd like to get a report out from her and allow board members to ask her some questions, possibly related to the commissioner's call yesterday. So I'd like to be able to get her moved up in the agenda. And so I would like to recommend approval of the agenda. I'd like to move approval of the agenda with the one change, moving Dr. Foster's report out to after the item acknowledgement of yes.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, so I heard Mr. Garrison, and then who it was? Mr. Borchers the second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's going to be a little trickier not being in person. So any discussion about that change to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'd just like to ask if anybody is opposed. I'll just start that way. Anybody opposed to the agenda change? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, very well. Then we will go ahead and move forward with our agenda. I'd like to begin with the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the March meeting minutes, the approval of the treasurer's report, and the personnel report. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda this time.
So moved.
If you could, is that Dr. Webb?
Henry Webb.
I'm trying to guess voices, so I guess if you guys could just announce your names as you make your motion, that would help. Okay, thank you, Dr. Webb. Do I have a second?
Mike
So moved.
So moved.
It sounds like a movement by the group. Any questions about the consent agenda items or discussion about the consent agenda items that have been presented? Okay, hearing none, then I'm going to kind of do this the same way I did the last one. Is anybody opposed to approving the consent agenda as it's been presented? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask the group by acclamation. For all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, very well. So we'll approve the consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and just acknowledge our guests that are with us today. In addition to, I'm not going to call out all the co-op folks, as they'll be doing some presentation later on. But I do want to acknowledge that we do have Dr. Foster, as I mentioned, from KDE with us on the call today. We also have Wayne Young from KASA, Anthony Strong representing Ross Sinclair, and Amanda Hale from KSBA. Is there any other outside entities that are with us today whom I've missed? Okay, very well. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and move forward with our next agenda item, which is Dr. Kelly Foster's report out from KDE. Dr. Foster, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate you moving me to the beginning. I'm supposed to be in a meeting with Kevin right now too. And you know how that goes. If you don't show up, then you get assigned something like the reentry plan. I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry. So I'm sure all of you all participated in its webinar yesterday, but I did want to just come on and give you all an opportunity to ask any questions or anything that you need me to follow up on for you all. once again, thank you for everything that you all are doing to help your teachers and your principals and your parents and your students. This is a huge lift for everyone. So everybody at the department really appreciates all the hard work that's going on in your districts. Right after the webinar yesterday, you should have received in your email guidance with your funding. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, hopefully this Friday, no later than Monday, you'll receive kind of volume 1 of the reopening guidance. And then hopefully on Tuesday's webinar, we will be talking about the ESSER funds, and the guidance for that will be following right behind that. So lots of things happening really fast. Like I said, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to have a few minutes with me and ask any questions or anything that you need me to follow up on for you. So at this time, I'll just open it up for questions.
Kelly, this is Kathy Burkhardt. I have a question.
Sure.
For those of us that have child care centers in our schools, they have sent out guidance that they're allowed to start opening on June 15th. So I'm starting to get questions about that, and I really don't know how to respond.
Okay. So I do know that in the governor's next phase that he does have childcare listed, but I don't, I think that's subject to change. So that puts you in a tough place, because even though that's on the list, depending on what the numbers look like, that may not necessarily happen. So let me work on that with our legal team today, and then I'll send something back to Amy that she can share with everybody, just so everybody can hear the answer for sure. So
Thank you.
Are these basically parents of your district that typically send their kids to the child care in your building?
It's parents, but it's also the child care centers, because they're being told to come up with a plan to open June 15th. And, I've been telling them, look, no one in our schools until after June 30th. That's the guidance we have. So they're trying to come up with these plans, and they're asking me, and I think they feel like it's me, and I don't know what to say. I just said, I'll check into it. As of right now, I don't think we can do that. And honestly, I'm not pushing to do it. I'm just asking what it would be nice if we all had a consistent message.
Are those people employees of your district, or do they just use your facility?
They just use our facility.
Okay, I'll get a response back.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mike Borchers. In the guidance, is there going to be information on what we're going to need to do to sanitize the building every day and after school? Because I know we're starting to try to plan ahead, and some of those materials are hard to get and need to order. I know we're going to be doing a lot of that, but is that going to be in that guidance on Friday and Monday as well?
I don't know that it will be in the first volume, but we had a call yesterday with Public Health, and we talked about just the things that you're talking about right now. The protective equipment, the hand sanitizers, the cleaning materials. We know that the typical places that you all would order those materials, just under normal circumstances, it's just like getting on Amazon and trying to, order Clorox wipes. I mean, they're on back order for months. And so that's the conversation we had yesterday with Public Health, is that local school districts are going to need specific guidance on what they need to do to keep things clean and safe. And then also they're going to need to help you all find those materials and equipment. So yes, that is coming.
Good questions. Are there any other questions for Dr. Foster? I know everything's moving very fast right now, and it's probably even impossible for her to even keep up.
It's kind of crazy, but I think we're all feeling that for sure. Well, I appreciate your all's time, and if you all think of anything else, please reach out to me directly or go through Amy, and I will get some further clarification on both of these. But once again, if you need anything, just let me know.
Thank you very much. And I would just like to say on behalf of the co-op, if you could just share back with KDE and Interim Commissioner Brown that we're very happy with the fact that we're having this, a weekly webcast with him. I know those are probably long and they're difficult to prepare for you all, but I think it's helped provide some clarity, and the fact that you all are entertaining questions at the end of each of those and taking as long as it takes to answer those, and even logging them and circling back to those questions has been really important and beneficial to us in our roles to try to help prepare for what's coming next, even though we know that that's difficult to speculate on. So if you could just share that back with the department, I think I speak for everybody when we say we thank you for the fact that you've locked in the same time each week so we can prepare. We know it's coming, and then the diligence with which you all at the department have taken this seriously and been able to follow up with us and help us get through this. So thank you for your partnership.
I appreciate that, and I will share that with the leadership team. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Okay, at this time, I would like to go ahead and pivot to the next item on our agenda, which is the professional learning update and the March movie led by Ms. Nixon.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
All right, Jess is going to pull up the March movie, so we'll take a look at that first. All right. I don't know about you guys, but on my end, I couldn't hear it very well, but hopefully you enjoyed the movie. I have to say, I think the March movie is one of my favorite movies. And I think Amelia really outdid herself that month with that movie because, again, it really showed how, March really started out normal for us as we know it, having trainings in person and having PLNs and, just really networking together. Then all of a sudden, COVID-19 hit, and then really we had to, not only the co-ops, but the districts had to get creative and really, think outside the box about how can we continue to do great things for kids. And again, I love seeing all the districts and all the wonderful things that you have continued to do to serve your students, and delivering of the meals and the instructional and virtual platforms. So I just love the March movie. So hopefully you enjoyed that. As you can see on the Connect, Grow, Serve log, we have been very busy at NKCES the month of March. We have had a total of 110 activities. And with a combination of those activities, we have served 6,250 educators, which is just outstanding. And those numbers would include any type of meetings that we've held, any of our online trainings, and even our trainings that we have held virtually live sessions. Some of the trainings that I'd just like to highlight, we have lots going on right now, both live virtual trainings, and then we also have a lot of trainings that we're offering online that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. But a couple of the trainings that I just really want to highlight is one of the trainings is navigating the intersection of English learners with disabilities. That training has been very popular and in demand. We've hosted that twice already, and both times it has filled up. The first time we had it at capacity at 50, and so the second time we increased those numbers to 75, and it filled up at 75. So we are hosting that a third time because that is something that is very in demand right now. The great things that I think about a lot of our trainings is that our coaches are working really hard to make these trainings of excellent quality. For example, in navigating the intersection of English learners, there's breakout sessions. So they're really creating powerful learning experience for staff in your district. So another training that is very popular right now is the FBA to BIP and creating positive behavior change for students. Again, we've offered that a couple of times, and they have filled up at capacity, and we are offering them again. And we will continue to offer them as long as they're filling up. And again, just incredible experiences because they're live experiences, they're on virtual platforms, but they're breaking out into groups. And so they're able to do those engaging learning experiences just like they would if we were live in-person sessions. So any questions as far as the Connect, Grow, Serve log?
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Ms. Nixon. We appreciate you and the effort of your team to provide these opportunities for teachers, especially right now when everything's kind of been turned on its head. So thank you very much. We appreciate it greatly.
You're welcome.
And leading, kind of pivoting based on that and a little bit of a segue, we'll move into the instructional spotlight in the discussion of the NTI resources with Dr. Clark and Ms. Nixon, which is probably going to be similar, but pivoting right off of that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we are excited today to share some of the things that we've been doing in our online learning resources. And I think, Jessica, are you going to share the screen with me, or are you going to show the slides on your end?
I gave you hosting rights.
Excellent. Hang on just a second then, and let me move those over for everybody. All righty. And can everybody see the slide that says online learning?
Yes, yes,
okay,
we can see it now.
Excellent. So with the NTI experience, we are now offering online learning, and we were able to really quickly pivot some of the work that we've been doing. And we had been, over the course of time, kind of piloting some online learning experiences. And so when NTI started, you can see on 325, we had 14 modules ready to go for online learning and had 310 completers. And as we moved through NTI, we kind of did a weekly count just to see where we were. And by 424, we had 5,819 completers of our modules and had increased from 14 modules to 31. So part of the work in those numbers came from several initiatives. One, we partnered with KDE. KDE asked us to share any online learning, all the co-ops. And so we opened up all of our modules, not just across the state, but just offered them up kind of free to the universe to share. And so in that number, we've had completers, not just from NKCES, but across the state. Several counties have been engaged very heavily across the state. We've also had some university students like WKU practicum students have been completing modules. And then more than 10 states across the US have been engaging in our online learning experiences. From our 14 original modules, those modules came from feedback from our DOS and from the PLNs. And we got additional feedback from them on topics that they wanted us to cover. One of the specific pieces of feedback that we got was that we needed across the region more modules for instructional assistants and support staff to have access to online learning. So we developed several modules specific to that learning. So by 5/4, we had 7,514 completers of our modules. A lot of modules are being taken by one person. They might take 2 modules, 7 modules, 30 modules, depending on what they are interested in. And we had 7,500 completers. As of 5/4, we had increased to 37 online modules across a variety of topics and have had more than 9,000 folks complete those modules. So when you are looking at the topics that we've offered, we started with
Laura, it's
Yes,
still on, it's just still on your first screen,
Your first slide, yeah.
your first slide.
Interesting. Okay, let's stop share and restart that. Thank you for telling me. Let's see if we can do that one more time. Okay, so you should be seeing now a slide that has a lot of smaller images. Is that what you're seeing, Becky?
Yes.
All right, much better. The other slides were just really exciting bubbles, so we're good now. These are the 37 modules we have. Like I said, we've got a really high focus in behavior supports. You can see those over on the right. And we partnered with our consultants at Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf, and they've added modules for us on supporting students with CVI and students who are deaf of hard of hearing. We've also added modules in literacy. We have an integrated arts module now, a lot of technology modules. And then, as I said before, modules to support instructional assistants in their work. We got a lot of questions about how we were creating our online platform so quickly. So we also developed a module on how you can create your own modules and have shared that out. So the newest modules that we've added in the past 2 weeks included our integrated arts module with Joe Bertucci. And we went ahead and turned our successful specially designed instruction during NTI into a module that was created by the IEP work group. And then the modules with our KSB and KSD consultants. We also had lots of questions about executive function and how to support students, and some districts asking about indicator 13. So we've added modules for those specific areas, and we continue to develop out modules based on requests that we're getting from districts, PLN feedback and DOS feedback, and then feedback from our state task groups. To kind of help people know how to navigate NTI resources, we developed an NKCES One Stop that we've been sharing out, and it has links to all the different resources that we've been developing. The consultants have worked together to pull together any professional learning opportunities. We've developed and organized those by content areas, and then continue to add to those as things come into our emails and through all of our professional relationships. We also have this NTI student learning resources, and this one is really specific to what teachers can use to teach students, and again, organized by topic area. And we're keeping all the newest stuff at the top. We reorganized because it's such a large resource at this point with over 275 different links. It's organized alphabetically and by topic. And at the top, you'll see we've got our NKCES online learning resource there. And then one of the other co-ops has started building some online learning, and we've got their work there also. Becky, is there anything else that you want to highlight that we've had going on so far?
No, I just would like to, first of all, thank all the districts for giving us input. We kind of had a little bit of a head start. We've gotten lots of feedback from across the state and from KDE, and gotten lots of feedback about, wow, how can you guys create these so quickly? But we were really ahead of the game. It's something that when I came in the fall that we talked about quickly and just said, this is kind of the way people are moving. A lot of people like to do PD in the comfort of their own home. So we had kind of already started that. And when we were looking at, when we hired our 2 additional staff, one of the things that stood them out that we liked was that they had the online training experience. And so that made them kind of stand out above the rest a little bit. But we had a head start in creating these. And then lots of this came back from feedback. Teachers loved it so well. We do have a IDA teacher advisory group, and they really did confirm when we met with them that, hey, we would like these trainings and we'd really like to have them online. And again, so we've been listening to your districts, listening to your staff and getting feedback. And again, the one thing that I'd really like to point out, and the thing that I've really stretched with our coaches is, yeah, we want to provide trainings for the districts and for your staff, but we really want that to be of good quality. And we want them to have that experience just like they would if they was to come in person. So they are really, really kind of making those engaging for your staff, and so that they really walk away with meaningful information and professional development.
Anything else? Thank you very much. I think when CARA was passed and the co-ops were created, I don't think anybody saw the need to have to expedite professional learning opportunities and modules, as you said, in such with such speed and with such broad experience to provide for different staff members across each district. And I just have to say that I want to thank everyone at the co-op, because you've been thrust into an unenviable situation to produce these as quickly as you have, and to listen to the districts and provide not just for our teachers, but also for our classified staff members. And I know it's been yeoman's work, and we greatly appreciate it. And I think if nothing else, the co-op has definitely demonstrated its worth to the region and to our profession during this time. And I just want to commend you on your work. And I just invite any other superintendents who'd like to comment or have any questions for Dr. Clark or Ms. Nixon to pitch in at this time. Any other comments or questions?
I will. I would just like to say thank you for all of the work that they've put in. We've used the materials in our district, and it was very helpful. So thank you.
Okay, this time we'll go ahead and move. Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you, and we're more than happy. So if you have a topic that you would like for us to, put a PD on for, or if you have a particular group in mind, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to serve, and happy to do anything that we can do to help you serve your students.
Okay, again, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is our communication discussion items. The first one is the Alternative Schools Award of Distinction. And I'd like Ms. Razor and Ms. Turner to address us with that, please.
Sure. I asked Ms. Turner if she could be on this with us. This morning, she has been very busy celebrating our students and seniors as of yesterday and a few days ago, and she might want to talk about that briefly. But today, we wanted just to take a minute. I guess a few weeks ago, we received a letter that they, it's always good to get some great news in the middle of all of this. So we received a letter that they were, we know that they were nominated and went through the review process, and we are happy to share with you that they received the award for Distinguished Alternative School. So I wanted to make sure that we took time to say a few words about that and recognize that. And Superintendent Duty is the superintendent that serves on that board. So I also asked him if he wanted to say something.
Amy, yeah, just want to obviously, I've enjoyed working with the group, and I know that obviously the program out there is a great resource for the region. It's a great resource for the children in Southgate. So just very proud of the work that you all and Stephanie and Emily and them are doing out there, you know, with that program. So it's just been a great resource, and just look forward to continued partnership with you all. So once again, just congratulations to everybody that puts in a lot of time and effort to provide a very good program, you know, for our children. So thank you.
Yes, and to what Superintendent Duty is saying, I think that's what makes our program so unique. Obviously, you know, we have some great staff members who are dedicated, but when you look at how our region pulls together and serves as an advisory board and, you know, has that input to make it what it is, I think that's the uniqueness. So, you know, this award really is about the region and the dedication to that program and to all students. So making all students successful. So we appreciate that dedication. Ms. Turner?
Yes, I'll just piggyback off of what you both have already said. That's one thing that they always talk about for us in part of this recipient of being a program of distinction is the collaboration piece with the region. We are so unique when it comes to that, and so they always discuss that and how wonderful this region is with that collaboration piece, not just with us, but in general. So it was very exciting to receive that news. And as Ms. Razor said, we have been celebrating our seniors. We had 2 this year, and we did some drive-by parades that were very well received and lots of smiles and tears naturally. So it was very nice. It was a great way to start the week this week, that's for sure. So thank you.
Hey, Amy, I also wanted just to compliment them. I know that we had a student that came to us, and we decided to have that student start out there at the regional school program. And then the team out there worked very well with our counselor to have that child transition back to Southgate. So just really appreciate too that collaboration that worked really, really well. So Stephanie, thank you guys for that also. They're just very, very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Turner, for your effort and for supporting the schools and the students of the region. Thank you. This is well deserved. Next item on the communication discussion items is the Northern Kentucky Cooperative for Educational Services Task Force. Within your packet, board members, you had a document that discusses the possible use of a school opening task force to discuss what things may look like and how we may engage stakeholders across the region to get input into how we can support and get feedback on our opening of school for next year. This document was initiated by Dr. Webb, and he and Dr. Poe Dr. Chesser and myself participated or were invited to, I don't know if I leave somebody off, I apologize. We're invited to a collaborative call initiated by Dr. Medea at NKU, who really wanted to create a work group to discuss the opening of NKU and the circumstances surrounding the barriers that exist with that, and wanted community feedback from stakeholders about what that looks like and how it may look differently moving forward. And Henry had presented to the executive committee, the executive board, a similar thought that we probably should begin engaging our stakeholders about what the reopening of school could look like or should look like in the fall, and had offered, that we needed to involve just more than school people and just more than KDE, that we needed to engage our communities. We needed to involve board members and, get KDE, in addition, elected officials, public health officials, business owners, parents, students, and basically just try to entertain a collaborative process where we are receiving feedback from our local community and stakeholders as we navigate the reopening of school for the fall. So in the letters, you can see the proposal is to have a few meetings. The first one being sometime later in May, after we get our kids and teachers out of the NTI. And for most of us, I know that's happening this week, and maybe if you go a little longer, basically they have a teleconference meeting in May, once in June, and possibly two more, either teleconference meetings or in-person meetings as things open up, hopefully in July, to kind of get a feel for what we need to do moving forward. And we just thought it'd be a good idea to engage the community. And Dr. Webb, if you could, I'd like for you just if you just chime in and kind of talk a little bit more about what your thoughts are. I mean, this was really initiated by him, and I think it's a great idea, and I think hopefully it's something that the board and the co-op would entertain supporting. And Dr. Webb, if you would just kind of give us a few more thoughts on your presentation, your initiative here.
Thanks, Dave. Great job. Just real quick, I want to give President Videa, as you did, a lot of credit. He sparked the thought in my mind. So basically, this would just be giving information to our stakeholders on what guidance we're getting and listening to them. Obviously, on school reopening, as Dave done a good job responding. I would submit to our board team that reentry is going to be as difficult, if not more difficult, than anything we've dealt with. The more we can all learn from each other, listen to our community, and engage everybody, even though we may do different things, I really believe that it'll really help us all collectively if we work together on reentry, because I do believe it's going to be difficult. And that's all I'll add, sir.
Okay. So I guess really this is a discussion item, and I'd like to just kind of open it up to the board. If other members have thoughts about this, again, Dr. Webb would tell you that he put this together, literally wrote this in just a few minutes, getting his thoughts down on paper, and Ms. Razor kind of tweaked it a little bit and really made it pretty for the presentation at the meeting today. But really, if other board members, if you've got any input or thoughts beyond what we've initially got to hand down here on paper, we'd love to hear them. So any thoughts from the group?
I think it's a great idea. The more we can work together and support one another, the better off I think things will go. And I think, you've got 3 new superintendents. I think that would be helpful to them as well as experienced people.
Any other thoughts? Okay, really not really thinking about taking a vote on this. This really was for discussion, but if everybody's okay with it, I'd like to kind of just start working and maybe coordinate with Amy, with Ms. Razor, to go ahead and begin working on getting some dates together, because I think that's going to be just the most complicated part. I think as we had talked in the executive committee about this, it'll require, for us as superintendents representing our communities to help engage those stakeholders. So we may want to think about, a board member or two that may want to serve. Obviously, we can't have 3 of them because then it creates a quorum for them. But but getting some folks from each of our communities who may be willing to work on this group. And I'm going to ask Ms. Razor if she would just kind of work on some of the organizational pieces of this, because obviously, I don't remember, Dr. Webb, how many members were on that call, but it was upwards of 100, I think, on that call, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was between 70 and 100. And once again, the goal is for us to share and listen to the community people or health officials. So that call, as you indicated, with 70 to 100 people went very well. They've done a really good job moderating it. So it's very doable with, a large group.
So if anybody unless there's any opposition, I would like to ask Ms. Razor to begin possibly working to get some dates down and securing from us some folks represent our communities who would be willing to serve on this committee, and then just begin the charge of kind of getting this together. And maybe the last week or May, so that gives us 2 weeks, maybe 10 days to kind of get it together and get this started and have an initial conversation. I have a feeling from there, it may morph a little bit, but at least that gives us a start and gives us an opening conversation. Like Dr. Webb said, a lot of it's going to be a listening and feedback gathering opportunity. So anybody else, anything else to suggest or any other feedback on this?
Would it be helpful for superintendents to recommend people in their communities to help? I mean, Amy's not going to know all the people in our
plan. Kathy, sorry about that. I think what Dr. Webb and I had talked about doing was creating a form with categories, recommended categories, and not that you couldn't add to it, that we would send out, and then you could fill that out, whether that was board members, students, teachers, that kind of thing, a broader category. And he had some ideas based on the call they were on, and then we'll send that out. You can fill that out, and then we'll send an invite out. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great question. And ideally, I will tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use the people that are part of this committee as part of our committee that we're putting together just to talk about our reentry plans here in the district. So the hope would be that we all obviously are working on it individually, but collectively we all gather the same information and then go back to our districts and make the best decisions and then share collectively. So hopefully those members will be part of your committee as well.
Absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Burkhart. I wasn't clear enough on that the goal would be for superintendents representing our communities to present and invite folks representing the communities to participate. And really, I see Ms. Razor's task is really just helping to facilitate getting this off the ground and organizing who's on and how it moves forward. So
sure. It sounds like a good process. And I think, like Henry said, it will help to have all of the people that we would have on our committee hear the same information together and be a part of those same discussions. And it helps align everybody's work. So kudos. I think it's great work, great idea.
Any other comments, feedback, input, concerns? Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. And Dr. Webb, thank you for your leadership on this. I think this is a great idea, and I think this will benefit us greatly moving forward as we explore the unknown.
Thanks, Dave.
Next order of business is to actually move into our new business, our action agenda. The first item is our NKCES policy changes. Ms. Razor, I'll let you take it away.
We have on the policy change, I had sent that out in a separate email. I'm pulling it up in front of me. The policy was about the incoming president, and we had talked about it. The executive board actually had conversations prior to the pandemic. We had I guess began conversations throughout the year about tightening the policy. And so I guess really the February, March meeting, they had asked me to draft some things. Since then, we've kind of gone back to not making many changes just because of the timeline. So basically what I've given to you is just kind of tightening up and putting into writing what we do. And so you will see that the criteria listed are those three things. Superintendent leadership, that when we look at, especially with our group, will continue to shift in experience along with the national average of experience. You know, we're following along with that norm. So we have superintendent leadership, regional stewardship, you know, the ability to view and act on behalf of the cooperatives membership, what we call here the united voice, and then the commitment to the role, the availability to prioritize the time needed. And, you know, when we talked about that, that could just be simply, not that somebody doesn't want to commit to the time, but I gave the example that two superintendents could have the same seniority or the same dedication to the region, but one might be working on their doctorate or might have some family commitments, and it's just not the right year for them. And so it's not that they don't want to be committed to the role, it's just they have other things on their plate. So just really looking at that whole picture. So things that we just naturally take into consideration, but just putting those into writing. And then the other, I think the big piece on here was all the other co-ops make this decision in May, and ours was in June. And so as a group, we said we would like to fall in line with that and make that June 1st. The other piece of that this year would just be with where we're headed with, I'll just use the word pandemic, and reentry into school. We think that that's, you know, going to continue to be important to have that taken care of. And then the third piece was in our policy, it addressed CASA Region 7, which really isn't in our, I guess we don't have discretion to decide that. And so we are asking to remove that. So those were, like, I guess I would say the three also cleaning up of the policy or requests. So I'll open that up. If David, back to you if there are things to discuss or questions.
Are there any, and that's where I'm going to pivot, are there any questions or comments about what's been presented? I think that as you look at the policy, she, again, just cleaned up part of it. I think the policy still indicates that the intent of the election to basically be a simple vote. What we talked about among the executive board is to make sure that as we enter into that process every year, that we have a conversation with the entire membership about what the process is. That really what we want to make sure is the process is clear and then it's clean and that we have some consistency, and also that we make sure that we involve, you know, whether it be multiple executive committee members or, you know, executive director, in order to make sure that there's no perception of impropriety or no thought, no creation of animosity. We just want to make sure that it's a defined and clear process. Everybody's aware, with multiple people involved in it, making sure that it's legit and there's no the biggest problem is we want to make sure that there's no perception of impropriety. Nobody wants that, and we recognize that's going to be process rather than policy. So we left the policy pretty much as it is, requiring a simple vote if we get to that, if we have multiple people nominated and interested in the nomination, but that we would make sure that we're clear in advance of the election process with membership getting input to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the process and everybody is fine with that in the board. So that was really the discussion. From the executive board or any of the other members, do you have comments or questions regarding that?
Good job.
David, I would just like to add, I mean, I think that our board is usually pretty upfront and says what they want. And so, but I agree, we want a process that's fair. But I would also say that I think the other piece is with listing those requirements is it is a lot of work. It's a commitment. And I think that's a piece of listing that, and it will continue, if anything, to be a greater commitment as we move forward with, I guess, 3 new superintendents coming on. And like I said, you know, a lot of work moving forward with this reentry piece. And we've seen that doing weekly phone calls. I do a lot to run the co-op. It's not really that piece for the board, but it's the regional piece. And I think we've talked with as an executive board that I think will continue to be even more important as a region to keep our united voice strong and to support and keep our region healthy.
Okay. So at this point, what I would like to do is just go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the recommended policy changes that Ms. Razor talked about.
So moved.
Okay, Dr. Baker, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Jay Brewer.
Okay, Mr. Borchers, I think I saw first. So I have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions, or discussion about that policy changes? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to follow my same methodology. I'm going to ask if there's anybody opposed to the motion. Please say aye at this time.
Aye.
That was the opposed.
Sorry, my bad. Excuse me.
Okay, by acclamation, then I'm going to ask for all those in favor to please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. Our next item is the IDEA budget proposal for the coming fiscal year 2021. Ms. Razor?
I will, the reason that is separate, if you'll remember, is that we had not gotten, and that kind of has happened the last couple of years. We hadn't gotten that, our numbers yet from KDE. So that was going to be presented to you later. So Ms. Nixon, I'll let you talk about that.
We received our amount from KDE. We are getting the same amount as we got last year, which is $954,000. So we have the budget there attached. Is there any questions? As you can see on the budget, the majority of it is going to salaries so that we have some excellent people to send your way when you need assistance in your districts. I do want to point out in the past, Dr. Laura Clark has been more of a part-time basis at the co-op, and we are very fortunate to where this upcoming school year, we will be able to have her full-time at the co-op. So that is exciting news.
Very good. And our investment is always in our people, and we know that. So what I do is I like to entertain a motion to accept the fiscal year 2021 IDEA budget as presented. Do I hear a motion?
Craig Duty, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Duty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Bob.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Smith. Any comments or questions or further questions for Ms. Nixon about the proposed budget? Okay, hearing none, I have a motion and a second. Again, in the same way, any opposed? Would you please indicate that at this time by saying aye? Okay, hearing none, by acclamation, I'd like everyone to vote in favor of this by saying aye at this time.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much. And the next item is presented as the Crawford Insurance policy renewal. Ms. Razor?
I will let Mr. Stratton talk about that. But my understanding is this is, the normal policy that we bring to you every year.
Thank you, Mr. Stratton.
That is correct. There, as you all probably saw in your Liberty Mutual contracts, there was about a 10% increase this year with Liberty Mutual. The great thing for us is, as you know, we've had that workers' comp high mod number, which has been killing us, but it has dropped by that. The workers' comp has dropped by about 40% this year. So we've gone from 15,000 to 9,000 there, which kind of evens out. Our overall insurance costs are going to be close to the same as what we've had before. So a little bit less actually. So
I noticed that. I think that's real important to recognize is that, for most of us as we manage our own insurance, across the districts, the goal is always try to get an experience mod under 1.0. And for the co-op to bring that down from 1.34 to 0.77, having almost a 60 point drop in the experience mod. Of course, that's averaged over the course of several years, which means you probably had a big claim or several big claims a couple years ago that have fallen off, which has probably led to that significant drop. But I just want to commend the co-op on bringing that down, because that experience mod has a direct consequence on the premiums that are paid for workman's comp. And I just wanted to ask you and Ms. Razor, is there anything you'd like to share on anything specific that you've done to bring that mod down, other than just having a few big ones drop off in claims? Anything in particular?
I would love to say that I've been working diligently with our staff to take care of this issue, but to be honest, I think we just tried to talk to our staff. I've talked mainly just to our custodians, trying to get them to be very aware of their limitations and when they're working on things, and not do things that are outside their comfort zone, and make sure they have the right equipment. But to be honest, we've not done a whole lot of training or anything like that. We're just trying to be careful.
Well, sometimes that's all it takes, having a couple big claims fall off your average, and just being careful moving forward makes a big difference. So I commend you all at the co-op for bringing that down, because that has a direct consequence on the premiums. And if it saves us some money, that's more resources we can put towards kids and teachers and staff regionally. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. So at this time, I'll just entertain a motion to accept the insurance renewal for the coming school year. Anyone?
Henry Webb, so moved.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Webb. Do I have a second?
I second Alvin.
Thank you, Mr. Garrison. I have a motion and a second. Any other comment or questions regarding the insurance approval? Okay, hearing none, I would like to hear from any of those who may be opposed to approving the insurance for next year. Okay, by acclamation, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on our agenda is to review the old business. At this time, Ms. Razor, would you please talk to us a little bit about the fiscal year 21 salary schedule?
Yes, we brought this to you in March, and it is, we were just still, I think Mr. Stratton was still working on a few of the cells that we had been working on over the 5 years, trying to get those in more equal distributions. And so I don't think there are many changes, if any. Mr. Stratton, you can add in if that's not correct, but it's really what we brought to you. It does include the 1%. What I shared with the executive board was we are way behind the region. In the past 3 years, we do not, I don't think we even fall in the middle right now from using the KEDC salary schedule and looking at that. So we are working to get that and improved.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the salary schedule for the fiscal year 21. Do I have a motion?
Craig Duty, I'll make a motion.
Very well, thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dr. Burkhart. Any comments or questions, further input about the salary schedule for next year? Okay, hearing none, I'd like those who are opposed to please indicate that at this time by saying aye. All in favor by acclamation, please say aye at this time.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And then the next piece is the budgets for EL, RSP operations and grants. Final budgets for next year, Ms. Razor.
So we also presented these to you, and it's a first draft in March, and this would be the final draft. And again, these are very similar to last year. I would say that the only same thing I said in March, just to remind you, is The only changes would be the increase in salaries to these budgets. Everything else would be very similar to how we have operated in the past.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the budgets for next year?
So moved, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Borchers. And do I have a second?
I'll second Jay.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. We have a motion and a second to approve the budgets for the fiscal year 21. Any other comments, questions from the group regarding this item? Okay, any opposed, please indicate by saying aye at this time. All those in favor, please indicate by acclamation by saying aye at this time.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to move to our acknowledgement of reports. And I'd like to invite Ms. Razor to please present a report from last month with the group.
So the report is going to be filled with a lot of information about Zoom calls. Most of them you were a part of, and a lot of the information was shared in Laura and Becky's report. And so instead, I would just like to share with you, I have printed just a short email that I had sent to the team when this all began on March 24th that I think in looking back just kind of sets the stage for everything that's in the report. And the report's organized a little different from last month and this month. We organized it, Connect, Grow, Serve, and put the I'll say evolution of the co-op through the pandemic into those categories as our team, I'll say, revised, changed, and developed new ways to serve the region. So I guess when we ended our meeting in March, over the next few days, I crafted an email for them as we thought, we can't bring people into our building. So how do we continue to connect, grow, serve? So I started this email and it says, I'll begin this email by saying that I have shared several times this past week. So I'm so thankful for the role that has been played by each person as we go on this ever-changing journey. We are definitely blessed to work on a team of committed, innovative professionals who do work every day on behalf of learners and adults who serve them. This is evidenced even more profoundly now. I realize the concern for family and loved ones is even more magnified during this emerging national crisis. Your ability to focus on the work and uncharted territories, adapt on the fly, and keep your eyes set on accomplishing objectives during uncertain times is what sets this team apart. My personal belief is that people crave purpose, and having a purpose provides hope that tomorrow will be a better day. I believe that we are all makers and that the act of making gives us opportunity to work through uncertainty and maintain our drive to achieve at high levels. In the next few weeks, think about your role at NKCES. How can you connect, grow, and serve? How can you do that differently? I'd like each of us to consider our vision of what NKCES and its collective work will look like once we emerge on the other side of COVID-19. This outbreak will have a significant and long-lasting impact on our practice, our structure, and available funding related to public education. This can be a positive if we shape it. If we are proactive as individuals and as an organization with our approach, we will be refined in a beautiful way. Some important questions we ought to be considering. How do we anticipate? How do we plan? How do we design deliverable solutions that we think are practical for our teachers? How do we fulfill our mission to serve learners and adults? How do we remain relevant? As an organization, what do we know now? We focus on the work. We serve learners and adults who serve them in the most effective ways we can. We focus on redesigning the format and framework for our deliverables, and we explore and consider alternate pathways to accomplish our work. We over communicate and we network with smart people whenever we can find them. We understand that there is no challenge we can't overcome by working from an abundance mindset, working together and being daring enough to think beyond our current reach. What we do now during this trying time may determine the way we are perceived when we get to the other side. These perceptions formed in our ability to evolve as we enter this landscape will determine our viability. We need to be thinking differently to effectively serve our districts in this changing world. How can you think differently about your role? And how can we communicate our support and virtual support and training and talent that you have? Members of our team and of our region have responded to this challenge incredibly. This is going to be our new normal. Find your spot, ask for help. Take this time to learn new tools that are available to make us stronger as we connect, grow, and serve. And so I had went back and read that last night, and I just thought that shared a bigger and better picture than just going through and listing what we've done, because I think that captures what we've done as a region and what our team has done as individuals and as a united team, both as districts, as teachers, and as team members at NKCES. I think when I read the words, we can be refined in a beautiful way if we take the opportunity, I think our region has done a beautiful job at that. So that's my comments, and I appreciate you letting me share that.
Thank you very much, and I would concur. Any questions or comments to Ms. Razor? Anything?
You all have done a great job. Thank you for everything. You've helped us get through this, and it's very much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll move to our report out section of the agenda. So I'd like to invite Wayne Young from KASA to address the group and entertain questions.
Thank you, David. Great to be with you all. I look forward to the time I can be with you in person, as I know all of you do. We're all learning new things, and I've enjoyed this very rich conversation you've had and picked up a couple of things for myself. I will share one personal note. One of the having attention deficit disorder and having raised a son who has it, I've learned a lot about it, and that your mind starts to different things trigger different things in your mind. And as I saw Henry Webb's picture come up as he sits there with a tie on, I couldn't help but think of the news guy I saw online doing his news report who didn't have any pants on. He had a tie on, but he didn't know the camera was capturing the fact that he wasn't wearing pants. So Henry, I'm not going to ask you to stand up. But it is great to be with you all. Very quickly, I appreciate all of you and what you've been through. The only real nugget of information I have to share with you from KASA is that our summer conference is still on for July 29th through the 31st. And I try to put that in perspective. Time has become relative. I saw the joke where a lady asked her husband what day it was, and he had to Google it. And I'm kind of there myself. But we're, 9+ weeks into this from the first executive order when things started really changing for all of us. But we're still 11 weeks away from the beginning of the KASA conference. It's 11 weeks from today. So we all know how much things have changed and how dramatically that has in the last 9 weeks. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 11 weeks. So right now we're planning to go ahead. We obviously, like you, have a backup plan. We have a plan B and a plan C. So I would just tell you from KSA, we plan on our summer conference right now. If we have to move it, if school starts in July, I know there's been that conversation, although I think that's kind of been tamped down a little bit, but if things change dramatically, obviously we'll change. But I just wanted to tell you, if you want to go ahead and register your leadership team, obviously if school starts, we can't have a conference because you can't have all your leaders out of your district when school starts. But for right now, plan on things as usual. If things change, obviously we'll be on top of that, just as you're on top of changes. Other than that, I really don't have any specific items of information to bring you, but if you have something for me, I would remind us all that May 15th is Friday. I think most of you know that, but that's a hard deadline for a lot of your personnel decisions. And I know there's still a lot of kind of balls in the air on that, but if you need to talk about something, give me a call or shoot me an email, or we can talk right now. But other than that, I'll stop. And if you have questions for me, I'm at your disposal.
Any questions for
Henry likes my
Wayne,
beard.
who is healthy at home?
Healthy at home.
Anything from the group? Thank you, Mr. Young. We appreciate your contribution and your partnership. Thank you.
Thank you all, David. Great to be with you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Jim Flynn from KASS to address the group.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all. And like Wayne, I've appreciated hearing all the robust discussions about what you all are doing. And so just a few things that kind of connect. I think the reopening task force idea is excellent. And as you all have already pointed out, the more we share and collaborate, the better we'll be able to navigate these complex decisions. I sent you an email last night, and as you heard the commissioner say, KASS is going to provide a repository for district reopening plans. And so in the email, it gives you a link and a little bit of directions about how to do that. It's going to be simple, but I think if we have this statewide repository, it can be a resource for you to go and look at what other people are doing or planning or thinking. And I like the way you are doing it regionally too, because I think it's going to take that kind of effort, because this is going to be a very complex and difficult decision-making process as we try to decide how to reopen, and in light of a lack of all the information we need to do that. So encourage you to take advantage of that. I know that's going to take some time, but I would encourage you to kind of keep your drafts on there, and that way you all can go and share. So any questions about that, or any ideas or advice in terms of how to best provide the repository? I think it can be helpful to see a statewide lens. Well, hopefully that will be a benefit to you. I will let you know that last week, a group of partners did have a conference call meeting with Mitch McConnell's staff about relief needs. Some of the issues that we discussed included some special ed flexibility, particularly in light of compensatory education issues and possible lawsuits. It was discussed that I think in Hawaii, there's already been a class action suit filed about compensatory services. And so we want to try to get ahead of that. They were well aware of that. We also discussed some financial supports for states and local municipalities, including school districts. We thanked them for the CARES money and some of the governor's resource money that's coming our way. But we also told them to stay tuned, because we just don't know what's going to happen and what we're going to need. And particularly, we don't want states having to file bankruptcy. But they had a good response on that as well. We also had some discussion about federal support for broadband access and how this NTI experience has, really shined some light on those that have and those that have not, and how difficult that's made delivering learning services. And then we also talked about extending the federal assessment waiver for 2021. We do have a good line of open communication there. So if there's other federal issues you'd like us to share, feel free to reach out to me on that. Any questions on that particular item? If not, I'll continue on. As you know, KDE has the Education Continuation Task Force that's meeting now every 2 weeks. Our next meeting will be Monday. I sent you put document leak for superintendents around the guiding questions. Our main focus has been around how do we, provide summer services and how do we plan for reopening. I encourage you to check that link out. I've had 7 responses so far, so there's plenty of opportunity for more input around, how do we navigate these issues as we're trying to plan summer services and reopening of school next year. So take a look at that. Also, we had sent a survey out around personnel notification plans. We had 142 responses, and Wayne kind of mentioned that May 15th deadline's coming up. And I know from some of the questions yesterday on the superintendent's webinar, some folks are still trying to figure out how they're going to handle some of those personnel notifications. But there's some good information on the responses there that you can look if you go back and check that survey out. I appreciate everybody that responded there. And then I'll just mention, Wayne mentioned the KASA Leadership Institute for July. We did cancel the KASS Superintendent Summit that was scheduled for June 11th. We're going to try to move most of the core agenda of that to the Superintendent's Luncheon at the KASA Leadership Institute, which currently that would be on Thursday, July 30th. We'll plan on debriefing on our legislative session that we just got through, and then begin formulating our priorities for the 2021 legislative session. And so stay tuned there. And just a quick mention, in a partnership with Greg Coker and his Soft Skills Bootcamp video series for high school students, that through KASS has been made available to you all free now, and as long as you want to use it. It's a great resource, and as you know, we have the essential skills requirement for high school students, and this is one piece of the puzzle that can help in that. And finally, I just want to thank you again for your advocacy and leadership this past session, and leading up to it and throughout the session. Northern Kentucky Education Cooperative does a great job in that work, and I just want to thank you for that and encourage you to keep up your advocacy, because between now and the start of the session is going to be key. So I'll stop there, and any questions, I'll be happy to entertain. In any way I can help you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Are there any questions for Dr. Flynn? Dr. Flynn, thank you very much for your partnership and participation today on our call here, and thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. This time, I'd like to invite Ms. Amanda Hale from KSBA to address the group.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to be the new liaison from KSBA to the co-op. So I'll hopefully be seeing you all pretty regularly. And most of you, actually, I think everyone is a school district that I work with as a policy consultant. So some of you I've emailed with back and forth or talked to on the phone about various policy and procedure changes. So it's nice to put some faces with the names. Just a couple things I wanted to talk to you all about today. First of all, are our Learn and Earn training opportunities for board members. Those are on the second Wednesday of each month, and they are from noon to 1 p.m. You can get more information and have your board members register on our website if they need some of that training, those training hours. That's a really good opportunity. We also have our federal and state law update coming on June 2nd. That's going to be a virtual training, so we don't have to worry about meeting in person for that. Registration is available for that online if you'd like to participate. Our policy staff and Eric Kennedy, who is in our government relations, and John Fogel, our staff attorney, will all be presenting as part of that event. Our Summer Leadership Institute information should be going out in the next week, so be on the lookout for that for more board training opportunities for your board members. And then also, I know it's always anticipated this time of year. Our policy and procedure update, we're hard at work on the policy staff side, working on that now, and we'll get it out to you by the end of the month. And like every other year, every district will receive that at the same time. Once we get that completed, we get that all ready to go, then we launch it at one time. So you'll all receive it at the same time. And then we'll, as your policy consultants, be available for any questions that you have. So feel free, once you receive that, if you have any questions, additional drafts you need, just reach out to me or one of the other consultants, and we'd be happy to help you with that. All right, that's all I've got.
Good deal. Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions for Ms. Hale or KSBA in general? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your participation on the call and for joining us today and for your partnership and collaboration. Thank you, Ms. Hale.
Thank you.
Okay, as we move towards the end of our agenda today, a couple announcements. First of all, I just want to make the board aware and any visitors aware, any viewers aware that our next board of directors meeting will take place June 10th. 2020, and it'll occur at 9 a.m. And the assumption is it'll probably be in the exact same manner we're conducting it today, but we'll wait and see how that goes. I'd also like to just share with members quickly that I will initiate the process to conduct Ms. Razor's evaluation. So you can expect to hear from me here in the next week or two. We need to try to get that done and taken care of by the June meeting. And then also as the election is coming up, I will touch base with the executive board and with Dr. Webb, as well as the incoming president, who has typically spearheaded that, and talk about what process we need to get that out to you all as well here in the next week or two to begin that process. And we'll go ahead and we'll talk about that and kind of publish the process with you all and ask for any feedback or input, so we make sure that we've got your thoughts as we engage in that, and try to get those two things moving right along in thinking about the June meeting. I'd also like to just take a moment to announce for the public's benefit and for those of our board member and visitors that we are going to have 3 new members joining our board next year, and as superintendent. So Chad Molly has been appointed as the new superintendent for Erlanger-Ellesmere Independent Schools, and we welcome him here today. He's with us today. Also, Tony Watts has been appointed as the Newport Independent Schools new superintendent. And most recently, we've seen the release that Mr. Matt Turner has been elevated and appointed as the superintendent for Boone County Schools. So I just want to thank them and welcome them, and just announce that both to the group and to any of the public who may be watching this stream today. So we congratulate them on their appointment and look forward to working with them as the board reconvenes next year. Finally, just quickly as we move to adjourn, I wanted to ask the board members if you could stick around for a moment after we adjourn. We do have another announcement outside of the stream. We're also going to present the April movie to be played as we exit our meeting today and as we adjourn. So at this time, I think are there any other announcements from board members that they'd like to address to the group?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was asking if I was officially off now. And if I am, I just want to thank you all for letting me serve. I've enjoyed it. Tell me if this speech is premature, but yeah, I've enjoyed serving and continue to be an active member on the board. But I'm looking forward to the reduced responsibility, even though I've enjoyed it. So thank you all.
And as the prior and outgoing president of our executive board, Alvin, I think you've done a wonderful job helping keep us on the straight and narrow, and your willingness to provide input and not pull any punches. I appreciate that about you, Alvin, that you call them as you see them and you let us know what we need to be thinking about. And you still have one more meeting as the outgoing president on the executive board, but But again, I'm going to take this time, and I'll probably do it again next month as well. Just thank you for your contribution, your participation on the executive board, and as the most recent past president.
I think Dr. Kreitz has an announcement he'd like to share.
Okay, Dr. Kreitz.
Yes, just wanted to let you all know, of course, that our new dean, Dr. Jenny Fair, is starting on July 1. And that also, I'm looking for the name, we're going to have a recruiter that's going to be helping us recruit graduate students. And I can't find his name. We will be sending a letter of introduction to all of the superintendents so that you will be aware, but he will be helping us to recruit new graduate students. So in the hopes of increasing our enrollment in graduate programs. And, you know, we have launched our online programs, accelerated online programs, and they've been going pretty well. We've actually increased enrollment considerably. The name of the recruiter is Chris Kelly. So we will be sending out information from the dean's office on an introduction of him, and he will probably be contacting school systems to see about meeting with students, your teachers, to become our students, hopefully. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Kreitz. I do have one question. Do we expect that the dean will serve on this board as well, or do you think that will be delegated to someone within the office?
Most likely, she will be the main person to serve on the board, and then I may be, you know, I may substitute for her occasionally. But yeah, she wants to get, you know, acclimated to the community, and she would like to be part of that.
Very pleased to hear that. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your service and your partnership. Any other announcements? Any other announcements for the group from members? Okay, that being said, we'll get the April movie going here in just a second. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
This is Alvin. I move to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, David.
Let David.
That was Dr. Burkhart was first with a second. All those in favor by acclamation, please indicate by saying aye, your willingness to adjourn the meeting.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much. We stand adjourned. I think we're going to stop the stream, and then we've got one quick thing to do, and then we'll get out of here. Amy, I'll turn it over to you, and Jessica.
Okay, Jessica, are you on here? Yes.